Anthony,
How
my
goes
brother.
it? How are you, man?
Yo, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm gonna put my camera up here. It's a little bit better. I feel like I like looking up here a little bit better.
I
There
mean,
we
I
go.
love your studio, so might as well flex on it and show us your beautiful studio. Why not?
Well, it's either I use this and I look down and I get like the this going on, or I can like look up at you. You guys go, oh, that's what he looks like, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I look like. How you doing today, man?
I am blessed, my brother. How about yourself?
I'm good, man. It's been a long time coming. I'm not gonna lie. You're an entrepreneur. Here's how I know you're an entrepreneur. I have a process of how people typically reach me and get me onto things, and that doesn't involve Anthony. It involves a teammate named Paige who does that. And I love that you send these cool videos like, "Hey, bro," and it's like it's a happy guilt. I feel a happy guilt to come hang out. I'm like, this guy, he's a good guy. We had a good interview conversation. He's doing the right things the right way. Let's go ahead and make this work. So I appreciate you having me on, man. I appreciate you being who you are.
Matt, Anthony, first of all, thank you very much. Coming from you, that means the world because, as you know, I was blessed to be on your podcast a couple of months back now, like
Yeah.
essentially end of 2021. And I just dived into like checking your stuff, and you're a superstar. So coming from you, that's amazing. But before jumping in, I just want to
Thank you.
introduce you to my audience.
Let's do it.
Anthony Trucks is a phenomenal entrepreneur. But before being an entrepreneur, he had a crazy journey from being a foster child to being in the NFL, from competing in American Ninja Warrior, and now just being an amazing speaker and just being an amazing shift mindset coach. So that's who Anthony is. And for your audience, my name is Christopher Dedeyan. I am a
Hey,
professional speaker and a peak performance coach as well. So my brother, let's
what's up,
start
dog?
off.
Let's do it.
Let's start off with like because I went through a lot of your stuff and have some like amazing questions I want to ask you. But let's just start off with the aspect of what was the biggest mind shift that you had to do from being a foster kid to
Yeah.
potentially not feeling wanted, unfortunately, to changing that mindset to be like, you know what, I'm gonna go get mine and go into NFL, which is less than 1% of the population
Yeah.
makes that into a career. So what was that mind shift that was like the main thing that really woken that up for you?
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna answer your question with a different direction, but not I'm not gonna do it political like how politicians go. Great question. What I really want to talk about is we're not gonna do that. No, but here's the thing. So mindset's a huge piece of it all, right? The work that I do is an identity, and identity within it, like if identity is a burrito, it has beliefs, thoughts, actions, mindset tucked inside. And so anybody's listening right now that goes, man, I really got to work on mindset. I don't want to say challenge that. I will add to that and say, yes, mindset's a piece. We really want to get to the point where my mind is so dialed into this is who I am that it's just a natural mindset, right? Because if you think about it, like if you look at the most successful people in the world, we go, man, their mindset's powerful. And they go, this is just how I think,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so what happened for me, and I think happens for all of us, is we are met with moments that are outside of our current capacity, current ability to understand, and we're looking at the proof of what we have. And we go, the only proof I have is I'm not that great at that thing. So when I was in foster care, like I was given away at a young age, they had this mentality of like, well, my own mom didn't want me. I'm not that good at anything, right? I wasn't good at sports. I wasn't good at much. And there was a point in time where I was like, I don't want to feel this way. If anybody's ever in the world, put some hearts if you've had this feeling of like, I want this thing, I want to feel strong and I want to get this, but I don't know if I deserve the dream. And I don't know if I get it, if I'll feel like I deserve it in the first place. And if this is anybody, I would love for you guys like, let me know you're here because this is the thing we have. And so for me as a foster kid, I was like, I don't belong at a higher level. Foster kids don't have much. Most people don't know, but if you look at any prison in America, 75% of the inmates are former foster kids. We don't
Oh
have
wow.
much. Half our homeless population has spent time in foster care like me, and less than 1% of us graduate from college. So there's not a whole lot that's coming up for us. And so for me, one of the biggest things was realizing that I have absolute control over the end result. Now that's something that's not new. Chris, this is not new, man. But I'm gonna give you a little story, and I want people to understand that this little story it's like it's an example, and it clarifies what the most important piece is. I was horrible at football. I was trash. What's up, Anthony? And Tony, I was trash at football, horrible at it. But I wanted to go and do this new thing, and it was going to take this thing. It's called out of character actions. Out of character actions. Most people go, I don't want to be out of character. You got to be if you want something great. That next thing you want is a higher
Mm-hmm.
level character. And what
Mm-hmm.
happens is you go do it. And I was 15 years old. I was trash at football, but I wanted to be great at football. And so I figured I'm gonna go lift weights, run routes, and do speed work. And I did it. And people go, Trucks, man, you're slow. Why you out there running routes? You're weak. Why you lifting weights? But you got butterfingers. Why you catching footballs, right? Out of character. But I kept doing it. I would get poked and made fun of. I kept doing it. Next thing you know, after like 7 months, Chris, I was an animal. And here's the key. Here's a little thing. The process of creation holds the key, because what you create creates you. It's not this, I made a stronger body, I made a faster body, I was able to catch. No, no, no. When that ball was in the air, my ball, bro. That's mine in the air. You come into that, I'm tackling you. That's my play to make. And it was only because the dark work I did. And here's the thing, man. You have to be able to have this mentality. The mentality has to be this. I have done too much work in the dark for you to take what's mine in the light.
Let's go.
And that you have to earn. And that comes through the creation process that creates that internal person.
I love that. I love that. Okay, let me just highlight a couple of things that you said, because I really want people to hone in on this as we have many people listening in. First and foremost, the mindset aspect, you're like, it's something that I have created over time, kind of like the ideology that I decided to be happy today a year ago. And it's that process, and then you just work on it. The last bit that you just mentioned as well, of knowing that, like, hey, or not the last bit, let's say the middle bit, you're like understanding that my past circumstances don't create my future or my present, which is like, hey, in the past, I was not necessarily wanted by my parents, so on and so forth, but that doesn't create who I can be, even if I'm not necessarily the strongest, not necessarily the biggest, because that's what you mentioned in a couple of interviews that I checked out, that you weren't the biggest, you weren't the strongest, and then you built that towards building yourself into an NFL type player, which is amazing in itself. And then the last part, the darkness aspect. Please, let's highlight this. And like, people assume this overnight success is only what you see, but that's only a small part of it. When you see Beyonce on stage, she has years and years and hours and decades of her working on her craft when nobody's looking. And that's where really success comes into play. So I really love that aspect that you kind of highlighted.
And people gloss over that, man. I hear
they do.
You know, I don't want to be cliche. Here's the thing. I don't like coming on the live streams or doing things or like listening to podcasts where people repeat the same thing. And I'm repeating the same thing. We're both doing it. But here's the thing that people, they don't emotionally connect. They hear it, but they're not listening. They hear, oh yeah, Beyonce did a lot of work in the background. They hear there's a lot of dark work. That's not what it's about. It's about a moment when the world's watching, when you're on the scene, right? And if we can attest this, there are times you show up to that moment, and if I'm being honest, sometimes I don't got that, right? I don't have that. And I'm like, how do I get that? Do I all of a sudden build my energy? Do I breathe and talk to myself? No, it's not what it is. It should be an instinctual thing. And it only happens when you killed yourself in the dark. So when we say Beyonce worked in the dark, no, she probably was putting in 20-hour days sometimes for a month, and you didn't see it. She was dealing with hardships and headaches and family stuff, and you didn't see it. She twisted her ankle but started to dance, and you didn't see it. She had somebody pass away, and you didn't see it. She had a relationship thing, you didn't see it. Her heart was heavy, but she killed herself. So when she gets on that stage, how dare anybody consider she ain't the dopest, right? And it exudes. What you're seeing is not confidence because they got a shirt on and because somebody gave them some money to do this. What you see is confidence that is born of dark work that no one saw, because here's the biggest piece. It's her cashing in on her investment. You go, what investment is it? It's the investment bias we all humans have. If I give you money as an investment, I want a return on my money. The way that I get the return of confidence, of self-esteem that is untouchable, is the investment in the dark. If I invest, I'm going to get that return. And the return comes in the moment when it matters, when the lights are on, when I'm out here. I'm going to get mine because I have done the work in the background, so I deserve this next level.
100%. And what we have over here, sacrifice, the ROI, 100%, and love those comments over there. And it's so true. And one thing I want to kind of mention, you kind of alluded to it a couple of times, hey, I don't like cliches or I don't like repeating. I'm actually the opposite in regards to the repetition of saying something. You do need to hear it. So what you're saying right now is so vitally important in regards to understanding that this takes hard work. Granted, there's talent, but then there's skill, and that's two different things, right? And the skill is just putting in time and time and time again on working on your craft to go to that next level. So Anthony, as you kind of did this and you went to the NFL and had a stint in a career in there, and then you ended up going into the Ninja Warrior thing, how did your career progress once you were out of the NFL? Because what you're
Horribly.
mentioning, I'm sure this is what I want to highlight. This is like, I want to highlight this because you put everything you had. I'm sure you only had the vision of I'm going to be an NFL player. And then what happens when your NFL career is cut short? Like, what's next? Did you have a depression? How did you go about that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess I would call it depression. I was like suicidal, man, because what do you do? Who are you? Like, who are you at this game? Somebody says I got this, need to. Yeah, she said she has judgment for the reels. I'm gonna land on the answer to that as I go through Chris's question here. So the reality is, when we've been spending a lot of time investing into something, and then all of a sudden we can't do anything with it. It's like I was investing in CD players, and all of a sudden the iPod came out. Oh man, it's like it feels bad. The same thing happens to us as humans. If I can't be the football player, or I can't be the athlete, or I can't do the military, or my kid goes off to college, or I lose a relationship, or whatever it might be, we're met with a moment, and I go, who am I? And that moment it creates a massive hole. And so what happens is we have got to this point where, sadly, we have become the thing that we created. We have become the sport, become the car, become the job, become the relationship, become the muscles, right? We become the butt cheeks. We become that. And so if I lose it, I don't have that, I am nothing. And you feel that gaping hole. And the reality is it's not the case. Most people identify with the outcomes. They don't identify with the efforts. I didn't. I identified as the outcome, football guy. And then it took a long time for me to realize that, like, if we're like fruits, I call it the fruit of our labor. If I'm like this fruit, man, and the fruit falls off the tree, I feel like this tree, this fruit fell off, and like it can have a little while hang, but eventually it rots, and then I feel rotten like this piece of fruit. And I realized that none of us, not a single one of us, has ever been the fruit. We've always been the tree. We identify with the fruit, and it kills the rest of the fruit because we're only focused on one fruit. We lose sight of the tree, so the rest of the fruits die in life. And so to land that question about reels is I realized, for me, man, I cannot identify as the outcomes. It's like I don't like to identify as the speaker is a great part, or the husband is a great part, or the father is a great part. The greatest parts of me are the efforts that I give. I may fall on my face. I'm about to start doing some reels here pretty soon on some things called Guilt Guy. And for what I do, I'm a guy, right? I got the notoriety, I got the brand, I'm in Success Magazine, and I know this is going to be clunky. Dude, it's going to look clunky in the beginning. I think it might be cringy, but here's the thing. I'm going to do it because I don't identify as the guy that's great at reels. I identify as the guy that's going to be great at giving the effort towards it. That's it. So I do my thing. So if someone goes, hey, your stuff sucks, you're right, it does. Hey, how does it suck, man? How can I show it better? And then I do that. And now I don't get this, oh, it sucks. I go, it does. Oh, let's get better. And that's got to be the mentality. So when you focus on that and serving other people with that, the energy is such a massive shift that I don't have this energy where I feel like scared of what might be judged and how bad I might feel. I go, yes, you're helping me shortcut the path of being great at this. Give me more.
I love that. I love that. And it shows so much that, honestly, you have failed a lot in life because you're not afraid of it. Just like you said, the reels aspect, when failure comes, you're like, all right, it's just a new way to learn. And that's what you're kind of approaching it. I love that. And one thing I want to highlight, that's something I learned as well through the pandemic, of disassociating yourself with everything else that you're creating towards this, that, and the other. Like you said, I'm the speaker, I'm this and that. And understanding that you're so much more. The analogy that you gave with the fruit and the tree. And when I realized it, is my father, he is a professional musician. He's an accordion player. And he loves it, right? And now with pandemic happening, he didn't play music for like 2 years, and it completely destroyed him. And then I realized it destroyed him because he has the analogy as he's known as Gregory the accordionist. If you take out the accordionist, there is this inner being of like, who am I? What am I? So if you disassociate yourself to understand that you are full in the being that you are, and everything else is an add-on for being a son, a father, a musician, a phenomenal NFL player, a speaker, an author, somebody that's on Success Magazine, that's just add-on. So that's just an inner work that needs to be done.
Yeah, it's just the accolades of what they say. It's just the expression. It's just an expression in some manner. It's weird, man. It's hard for people to embody this emotionally, and it sucks because I wish I could just unplug it and plug it into somebody's heart, and they go, "Oh, I get it." But you have to clunkily go around it. And here's what I will say: one of the most important pieces we have to do to alleviate a lot of this is we've got to stop borrowing the world scale of success. The world,
which is what for you?
It's not even for me. The world. So here's the thing: the world scale is not a set scale, meaning There's always another level. So if I go and say, you know what, my goal this year is to make $5 million, there's going to be someone that goes, you didn't make 10.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, yes, crap, that was worthless, right? It's a crappy energy, all because I've compared and borrowed the world scale of the body, of the marriage, of the house, of the family, of the, right? And so I'm going, well, I don't, everything, when I do work hard for something, the emotion in return is like, but it wasn't good enough. So I go, yeah, I'm gonna stop taking the world scale, man. For me, I shut down like today. Today at 2:30, my son, what's up, young executive? Supposed to reach out to you. I have a note for that for some reason. I just saw your name. For me, the world 2:30, I shut it down. I'm seriously, I pick my kids up from school. We come home. I take my son to go play football. My daughter goes to swim, and I run around and do my thing. And that's my goal. Right now, there are people in my world who would go, but you can still work for 4 or 5 more hours and get some more done. You can build it up, and you could do this. You got to hustle, hustle, hustle. That's great. That's your scale. It's not my scale. And I'm not going to feel bad because I didn't get to a place that I didn't desire to work towards. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you go into this world and you compare to the scale and you become this thing, it's a weird way of living life. And to be honest, it's like you're hoping the rest of life goes on pause so you can build your thing and then come back to it and go, I'm ready now. No, you are always living life. So you got to live that thing with harmony, man.
I love what you're saying right now, Anthony, because that's something you're calling your scale. I call it redefine your success, because you're absolutely right. If you put a money point, which is a goal or growth or being married or whatever, that's great goals. But success for me, you have to define it as something that you could control every day. And my definition of success personally is if I wake up every single day and I give my 110% and learn something new, I have been successful. Now, granted, maybe somebody's like, hey, Chris, does that mean you're always at 110%? No. But can I learn from the day that I'm not? Yes. So then it makes it that I am successful because I put the metrics in place for that. I love that. And you're absolutely right to be aware of what society's telling us, what maybe our parents are telling us, and what we want our successes to be in that regards.
Just follow it
Anthony,
up. Yeah.
So as you kind of went into this and you obviously figured out, okay, now I'm kind of done being the NFL guy, went into the Ninja Warrior, and now you're an entrepreneur and a coach and a speaker. How did that shift happen to you? Was that something organic? Was it natural? And in fact, I do see a lot of NFL, or a lot is a big word, but there are several NFL players that go into this motivational speaking world and so on. How did this happen to you? Did somebody guide you towards it? How did it happen?
It was an accident, to be honest. And it's funny, as I had a speech in Kansas City 2 weeks ago, and one of the ladies the night before had this like meet and greet with some people. She's like, I'm not gonna lie. She's like, I've never really seen a pro athlete that's a good speaker. They're like, people listen to you because you play in sports and you yell. People yell a lot, but like, I'm hoping that you're not like everybody else we see that tells their old, And I'm like, well, first off, that's not the time to say that. Secondly, I said, I'm not your average former athlete. Like I have for a lot of years sort of run from the moniker of a football player until I realized that I needed to lean into who I am, so to speak. But here's how it happened. I owned a gym. Like my degrees in kinesiology, novel idea as an athlete to open a gym. No one does that. So opened a gym because my degree was there, and I started talking and teaching on what I knew from fitness and what I'd been around. And then after a while, someone found my story, and then I was doing some consulting for a company called Fire Alumni. One of the guys goes, "Hey, we're going to film you doing this stuff and put it online for the world to access, and they'll pay for it." I go, "What? That's blasphemy." And he goes, "No, this guy named Brendan Burchard teaches that." I go, "Does he? Who's this guy?" So here's this link, Experts Academy. Hit the link. I'm in a Starbucks in Brentwood, California, watching the videos. And this guy, Brendan Burchard, comes on with this little white screen. He's doing this thing. And I go, this is cool. Like, I could actually maybe use my personal story to turn something, of a business in it, to impact some people. So he happens to have his events in a town called Santa Clara, which is about an hour south of where I live in the Bay Area. I'm like, sure, I'll show up. I show up, and all these people are in a room just happy, clapping and talking. I'm like, this is foreign to me. I didn't know it existed. And I'm like, it was just super weird, but cool at the same time. And then next thing I know, like I drink the Kool-Aid, bro. I'm like, let me try this. Let me lean into this. And in a weird turn of events, I get into a little group at one break, tell people my story. Someone in the group happens to be part of the team that's of Brendan's team, but nobody tells me. I don't know this. So then they go ahead and they tell the upper lady, who's like the main, right hand of Brendan at the time. She stops me in the hallway. I don't even know who she is. She's like, tell me your story. And at this time, I'm wide open. Like, here's my story, So I tell my story, and she goes, cool. And then, like, that was it. Well, I kept going to events. I wanted to be around. I wanted to learn. I wanted to apply, and I was doing the work. They were watching. At one point, she goes, hey, do you want to volunteer? I was like, yeah, I'd love to volunteer. What does that look like? She's like, you just come and you be around the environment and see how things work. And I go, cool. Like, so I'll just be around. I started volunteering and had no intention of meeting Brendan. I played the NFL. Like, it's not, people that you're like, oh, look at their soul. They're just humans. He's a great
Yeah.
guy. He's a human, right? So I get, I'm around. Eventually I meet Brendan and we created this fitness product together because I showed him some things like, dude, let's make this. And so we did that and then became friends. And then he started this kind of mastermind where I get to hang out with all these amazing minds. And so at one point the discussion comes and someone goes, hey, what do you do, Anthony? I go, I teach this brand called Trust or Hustle and Fitness, and told my story. And the guy goes, I don't like it. I go, what do you mean you don't like it? He goes, yeah. I goes, there's more to you than this hustle. He's like, everybody hustles. He says, how did you navigate foster care and the all-white family and the young father and meeting your father and all these things? How did you navigate those different shifts of your identity to get here? That's what I want to know. I was like, oh, interesting. So I dug in. And so when I say it was an accident, this progression was one where they saw something. They're like, talk about this. I started talking about it. And then in the pathway to trying to be great in my own perspective of it, I was like, I want to try my hardest at the thing I put my energy into. So I started doing a video a day. I did a video for 3.65 years, 1,333 straight days, did a video and posted it called Nightly 90 without a break, no mishaps. Like, it was every day, right? I put the energy in, and that's what allowed me to do what I'm doing now. There's no ums, no ahs, no stutters, no hiccups, right? I learned to do it, and it was all by sheer effort. You can go see them. They're on YouTube, these videos now. And so the progression towards this was me saying, and here's the thing, when it comes to your identity, you listening right now, wherever you're at in the world, I'm looking dead at you. You are not the thing that you have been doing. You are the person doing the thing, meaning the abilities you have to communicate, to coordinate, to look, to focus, to feel, all those things, you are expressing them in one area. They're being expressed. For me, they were expressed in football, then they were expressed in the gym, and they were expressed in consulting, and now they're expressed in teaching and coaching. I am the same core human with some of the very same foundational skills. It's just being expressed in this new area. And this is why early in this conversation, I said, I'm not identifying with the outcome. I'm identifying with the effort, which is expressing. And I just chose this vehicle and direction because I love it. There's something special that happens when you do something that you love and people love that you do it. So Chris, that's how I happen across this world. I have weird, cool, amazing friends, and I get to serve at a high level. And it's a super creepy, cool thing to be able to live this life I'm living. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, brother, I love that. And as you're saying that, there's like one main thing that comes into my mind is that the universe is not logical, it's magical. And this is the actual points to where you're getting, right? Like, there was a purpose for you to be a foster child, to go into the NFL, and then to go X, Y, and Z to get to this moment. Because just listening to you go to that rant, you're very eloquent speaker. And like you said, the reason why you are is because you put in that time, that 3.5 years of putting one video per day that maybe in the beginning nobody was watching or viewing. It practices your craft. And now you're able to go into those stages. You're able to be featured on Success Magazine and so on. And my brother, listen, I do want to be respectful for your time, but I do want to ask you one last question before we leave over here. I was listening to you on Impact Theory with Tom Billy, which he is a superstar. And I know that you guys have a connection there. And it was such an interesting conversation you guys were having. And there was one thing I wanted to highlight, the aspect of where you stand in regards to the vision that you have when it comes to the like segregation, race, and so on. Now, why am I asking this? Not necessarily something I ask openly, but the reason why I'm asking is because you mentioned, or you alluded to it very likely, that you were adopted by a white family and you lived that perspective. And you're an African-American living in the States. Say the Bay Area. Which part of the Bay Area?
One Creek, East Bay.
East Bay? Okay, cool. I have family in the San Jose area, so it's not too far off from there.
I'm northeast of you guys. I'm like the far east. People in the Bay, they're like, that's not the Bay. Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, you're putting it aside. So anyways, all that being said, what is your understanding of that, especially with the last little while of what's happening in the world with divide, with legit yesterday going into war with Russia and Ukraine. But let's talk about like that divide in the States in regards to race. What's your perspective being from both sides, kind of, in a sense, if I could say that loosely?
I think, unfortunately, we have a world where everybody has a microphone and not everybody should have a microphone. You know, like, Everybody can say whatever they want. So I think the ability for all of us to ever fully agree is going to be, I mean, borderline an impossibility. You just won't have it because there's people that just don't care, and there's people that do care, and they believe this. And so what I realize is there's some perspectives that I look at and I go, well, at the end of the day, we all want to have the ability to live in safety, live in peace. And I think there's this perspective. I don't know if we're seeking, in my mind, people say, I want equality, right? I don't know if equality works. I want to have this aspect of acceptance. Just accept me, man. Just accept me as I am, the way I'm gonna accept you as you are. And in doing so, we'll be fine. Like, I don't know if we're all gonna have equal income, equal whatever health. It's hard. But here's what I look at the race, this perspectives. I think that we all live in separate houses on a block, in different blocks. And I have my way we live on our block, you have your way you live on your block, and we're all saying, well, I want that block and I want to go here and use your house. We're all pointing fingers, throwing rocks, and I go, yeah, but the reality is we all want to live honestly in the same household, right? We all live in the same household with peace. And I want to live in this house knowing that you feel respected. Like my wife and I live in the same house, and she has a place. She doesn't come to this house and I go, you don't belong here. You didn't work for this. I don't think that. Like we have peace in this house. We do our own thing. She is the brain behind the scenes. I'm the brawn behind the scenes. Our family works. We rock and roll. But how did that happen? And here's how it happened. At one point, we were separate humans, living our own ways, living our own houses. And we said, you know what? I want to live together. She could have moved into my house, but in my house, I have different things. I have different furniture, different things she doesn't like. And so she's not going to do that. I don't want to go to her house because she has different things too, right? This is humanity. This demographic does something this way, they do something this way, but we all want to kind of like live together, but we're not going to move in with each other. We want to come and live in the same house. Well, how do we live in the same house? Well, we come together in the same house and we will have different work to create that level of feeling accepted by each person. If we build this house together, no matter what this house is, America, Russia, Ukraine, the damn world, right? We've got to come together and go, what is my work to build a house? If I go out there and say, you should do this, you should do that, you should do that, it's going to be problematic because you're going to feel like, yeah, you're pointing my fingers, you got to do stuff too, right? No, we do our own work, we come together, and we build this house together. The reason it's got to be seen this way, in my opinion, is when we all get done building the house, I have to feel like you deserve to live here. If I don't, you're going to feel that. I'm going to say things. I'm going to poke you, right? And I don't think all of us feel like we belong in the same place because we're all pointing fingers. It's most of the time because we're all saying, let's take, for example, the black and white community. I'm a black man. I've had all my black experiences. Believe you me, I've been in airports and called Afro penis. It's the weirdest things in the world, right? I've been run off roads, all DWB. I've been pulled over while driving black. It happens. It does. I don't lean on that. I've lived in a white household, right? And they're not all bad people. My family is amazing, right? The majority of white America is great. They have things that they're completely oblivious about.
Yes.
What do you get? It is what it is. And so the problem with all this stuff took place, everybody's like, well, white America, you can't talk, you don't get it. And it's like the allies want to help, but they can't talk because they get ostracized when they talk. And then black people just want to poke holes and yell all day and say, you got to fix this, you got to fix this. Yeah, they just got to fix it. But we're not perfect over here. We're not. We got things to work on too. So what I've realized is these two households, we want to come together in a unified community and society, but we're both going to have to build that house, and we're going to have to do different work without pointing fingers. We have to. You got to know what your work is. We agree on it. I got to know what my work is. We agree on it. And now we got to do our work without pointing fingers, without going like, yeah, it's about time. Good job. Appreciate you. I'm glad you're doing it. I'm doing my thing too. I just want to show you appreciation for what you're doing. That's how you build the house back together. That's what I think we're missing in society. Everybody's either sitting over here telling what you should do, or they're building their house, and when they do it, somebody goes, it's about time. It's like my son wants to do dishes. The son, he's supposed to do dishes. If he walks out and does it on his own, he does it, he feels proud. If at any point in time my wife goes, it's about time, I don't want to do the dishes now. It's this feeling of like, so that's how I think we mentality-wise should approach the next stage is like, what's my work that I got to do? And then when they're doing their work, how do I praise that work? Great job, without saying it's about time, because that's not going to get us anywhere when you poke fingers. It's like poking people. We all got to get to the point of stepping back and going, hey, what do I got to do? What's my work? How do I do it? Celebrate each other for doing it. Come together and build a cool house.
My brother, I love that, and I love the analogy that you choose over there. The fact that it's two different houses, and then you're like, hey, we want to become a couple. Then we have to build something together so it could feel like our own. And maybe, like you said, in different areas of this world, you have to have that approach of like, all right, cool, how are we gonna do that? And then, like you mentioned, the empathy aspect and the respect aspect has to be so present. So whenever it's done, you're like, hey, congratulate, and then you work on yourself more than anything else. And then if somebody else is doing something, you're like, all right, cool, congratulations. I'm glad that you're doing that. I appreciate you. So I'm glad that you highlighted that and have that perspective on that end. And here's the thing, I truly believe, like I call everybody my brother and sister and so on and so forth. And the reason
Well, in
why
my world,
is
you
that,
could be. I don't know. I don't know. My family is half the time. I'm adopted, bro. So you could be my brother, unlike my sister's cousins, mom's, dad's,
so that's the
in-law
thing. So
side.
like, I love that you're saying that. So you exactly, when people think brother, like, hey, why do you say everybody brother? It's because at the end of the day, we're all Homo sapiens. So we're the same race. I
Hey,
feel like
yeah,
we're some way, somehow connected. So everybody's my brother and sister. Now, granted, I'm Armenian descent. So if I meet an Armenian, there's a higher percentage chance that this person is closer to my
obviously,
roots in
yeah,
itself, but we're all the same. Now, I would not go see an elephant and be like, hey, what's up, my brother? Nah, that's not the same thing, right? So
yeah.
the
Well, you could
ideology,
identify as an elephant nowadays, apparently.
well, that's a whole other
Yeah,
subject, brother. We'll use that for another live.
yeah,
But that ideology of that we are one and unified, I think will help us go forward with more empathy, love, and respect, which I think is what we need in this
yeah.
regard.
We do, man.
Anthony,
Yeah, it's crazy.
my
That's a
last
whole other
question for you.
conversation. Let's do it.
My last question for you, real quick, and I do appreciate we went a bit over time over here,
Oh, we're good.
but as you are an amazing entrepreneur, an amazing individual, an amazing success, and in so many like levels, what would you say is like the one or two things that really made that happen for you? Now, granted,
Mm.
you mindset and so on and so forth, but you have
Yeah.
succeeded in athletic world, you have succeeded going through a difficult family life, you're succeeded in the business world, speaking world, and so on. What do you think that translates to, and what can you tell us as an audience to like really hone in on if we want to be successful in whatever we're developing?
Yeah. I'm gonna say it's extreme ownership of my ability to do work that solves a problem. There, I look at the world as like there's a game. We're all playing this game of life, and there are different rules for different people. Unfortunately, as a black man in America, an Armenian man, there are different rules for us. It just is. We can all argue back and forth. There are different things that happen different ways. It's a reality. And I think there's two ways to approach it. Option one, I complain about the rules. If we're playing Monopoly and we start back and forth and you have certain rules and I have certain rules, like it's like I can complain about the rules all day, but at the end of the day, I'm not getting boardwalk, bro. Because I'm complaining all day, right? Or I can sit back and go, damn it, I want boardwalk. What are the rules? Maybe I'm a little bit behind. Maybe you start out with 100,000 more than I did. So, but I'm like, all right, how do I play the game by the rules better than you?
Yes.
So it's not to say that I'm okay with the things not being perfect in society. I'm not, but I am not okay with waking up each day falling short of my potential, knowing I do have an ability to make something happen. It just might take more work from me. In my world of what I do, my counterparts have a leg up. There's this different perspective of how you see this face in a business coach or a shift coach versus on like Tony Robbins or Brendan Burchard. Phenomenal humans, but I'm aware of the inset bias that humanity has. So what I do is I go,
Yeah.
okay, I can complain all day and argue, or I can just like, you know what? I'm gonna play the game better. I'm gonna find that this is with sports. I wasn't the fastest, wasn't the strongest. I figured it out and got the NFL. In business, I had a gym. I wasn't the smartest, wasn't experienced, but I figured it out. I got built a big gym, sold it, right? I speak, all these things. And it's not that I'm special. I just don't spend time complaining about the rules of the game. I spend time finding out how to play the game so much better than you that it makes you sick and you can't catch up. That's one of them. The other part of it is I am okay with adapting and doing things that are out of character. Most people are so attached to who they are that they will never get to the next level, because in order to get to the next level of who you are, you have to give up who you are now. Like if I want to be that next person, the future me, I got to give up whatever it is I'm doing now. And so we're so attached to this, but this is who I've been for the last 20 years. That's cool. Have you enjoyed where that has got you? Do you like that play? No? Okay, great. Well, we got to do something else. And if you can be okay with adapting, which means going out of character, doing different things, then you have the opportunity to get to the next tier of success. But not if you are addicted to being who you are. Like that's the problem. Is I wrote my book Identity Shift. There's a statement in there. There's a conversation between two people. This woman goes, "Hey, if you are committed to being who you are, then I can't be committed to being in your life."
I love that. I love that because the two things that you just mentioned, the first one's very like stoic approach with like amor fati, being in love with of faith of what's happening to you and understanding the game. I love that you highlighted that because like you said, certain people are just going to be ahead of the game from you just from where they're born. Like we're both in North America, we have an advantage. This is reality. Some other
Yeah.
people through race, female, like there's so many different advantages. But if you're just sitting on that and complaining on it and not going forward, then you're not going to succeed. So first you have to understand what the game is and utilize it and use it as a leverage for your advantage. I love that. And then understanding that you have to just kind of put in the work in a right way so then you could really succeed at a high level with that. So Anthony,
Mhm.
man, I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time for being
Yeah,
on the
welcome.
show. Really loved it. One last thing I want to ask, is there anything that I could do to support you more with whatever you're doing?
Nah, man, just keep doing dope stuff in life, bro. That's all I can ask. I'm not a big lean on people. It took me a lot of years to get to the point of even asking people for help. I do now when I need it, but I realize that I have a joy in doing the work, and I do lean on people
Love
when
it.
I need to lean on people. But outside of that, man, I seriously enjoy watching people win, man. It's
Let's go.
whatever it is, whatever somebody is celebrating their win, I am not going to go and be like, oh, but you could have, right? Unless they ask for it for the most part, or it's my kids, and I'm like, bro, it's different. For the most part, like I want to have people have a celebratory moment that goes, man, it's awesome. Because when you feel that, people get addicted to that feeling, and then they go, okay, how do I get it again? And then they'll approach you and go, hey, I know you celebrated my success. What else do you see I could be doing? Now is your opportunity to go talk to them. So for me, man, just keep doing what you're doing. And if you ever want to know what that stretch could be, I'll let you know.
Yo, I definitely will. I appreciate that, brother. Once again, thank you for everything that you're doing within the universe. Because, like I said, this is a collective work. And as more people put content like that out there, I think we're just going to help the universe go to that next level. So,
Agreed.
brother, thank you very much. Have a blessed
Welcome,
one. We'll
welcome.
speak very soon. All right.
All right, man. Take care. See everybody.
All
God
right.
bless. Have a great
Ciao,
weekend.
ciao.